Imagine this situation because I guarantee nearly everyone here has experienced it churning in their gut at least once. You're headed to work, perhaps a couple minutes behind schedule, and suddenly that check engine light flickers on. Your stomach drops. You understand rationally that addressing the issue right now would run about $400. But you glance at your bank account and you've got precisely $64 remaining until Friday. So you dismiss it. You crank up the music to cover the strange rattling sound. You hope for the best. 2 months pass, and because you lack that $400 then, the car dies completely on the freeway. You require a tow truck, which runs $200. The original component that failed has now obliterated your transmission, so the repair totals $2,000. And because you cannot reach work, you skip 2 shifts and forfeit $400 in earnings. That initial shortage of $400 has now ballooned into a $2,600 disaster. This isn't merely unfortunate luck. This is a mathematical snare. It is the specific, quantifiable, and crushing expense of lacking money. My name is Barry, and I dedicate way too much energy contemplating the concealed machinery of wealth and the invisible formulas that keep most individuals stuck on the treadmill. If you are someone who feels like you are grinding harder every single year, but your account balance never seems to actually climb, or if you feel like one unfortunate Tuesday could devastate your entire financial year, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this resonates with you. Because today we are not discussing stocks or crypto or how to become wealthy overnight. We are discussing something far more sinister. We are discussing why being broke is genuinely the most costly burden you can carry. Here's the reality about money that most financial experts miss entirely. They inform you that wealth is a product of self-control and poverty is a product of poor choices. They suggest things like eliminate buying lattes or drop Netflix, as if conserving $12 monthly is going to transform your existence. But that guidance overlooks a core economic truth known as the Boots Theory of socioeconomic unfairness. The theory originates from a character named Sam Vimes in a Terry Pratchett novel, and truthfully, it clarifies the wealth divide better than most economists holding PhDs. The theory functions like this. Consider two individuals. One is wealthy, one is struggling. The wealthy individual purchases a pair of $50 boots. They are premium leather, stitched correctly. Those boots serve him 10 years. The struggling individual cannot manage $50. He only has $10. So he purchases the cheap cardboard-soled boots, but those boots disintegrate after one season. So the following year, he must spend another $10 and the year beyond that. Over the identical 10-year span, the struggling individual has spent $100 on boots, double what the wealthy individual spent, and yet he still has soaked feet. The wealthy individual is dry, content, and $50 ahead. This is the arithmetic of being poor. You are compelled to pay a surcharge for the absence of capital. You might be saying, all right, Barry, that's an interesting story about boots, but how does that relate to my actual existence in 2025? Well, examine your surroundings. This pattern is everywhere. Let's discuss something as fundamental as toilet paper. It sounds absurd, I realize, but bear with me. If you have $50 available, you visit Costco or Sam's Club. You purchase the mega pack of toilet paper. The expense per roll might calculate to something like 50 cents. You are covered for months. But if you are surviving paycheck to paycheck, you don't have $50 to commit in toilet paper inventory. You have $4. So you visit the corner shop or the bodega and you purchase the 4-pack. The expense per roll is $1.50. You are literally spending 3 times more for the identical product simply because you couldn't manage the bulk price. This is what we label the poverty premium. It extends to mayonnaise, laundry detergent, diapers, especially diapers, and nearly every non-perishable item in your household. The mathematics indicates that if you are broke, your inflation rate is technically elevated compared to a wealthy person's inflation rate because you are continuously excluded from economies of scale. But it becomes significantly darker than merely groceries. Let's discuss the banking apparatus. This is where I become genuinely frustrated because the system is engineered to penalize you for faltering. If you maintain $10,000 in your checking account, the bank handles you like royalty. No monthly charges, complimentary checks, perhaps even a modest interest, though probably not substantial. But suppose you are struggling. You have $20 in your account. A subscription you overlooked hits for $25. You are now negative $5. Does the bank respond, "Hey, appears you're experiencing a difficult month. Let's assist you"? No, they strike you with a $35 overdraft charge. Consider the annual percentage rate, the APR, on that transaction. You essentially borrowed $5 for a day, and it cost you $35. That is an interest rate of 700%. If a loan shark executed that, they would face incarceration. When a bank executes it, it's merely standard procedure. Last year alone, banks generated billions of dollars in overdraft charges, almost exclusively from individuals with less than $1,000 to their names. The wealthy receive interest payments. The poor pay interest. It is a wealth transfer from the bottom to the top, masked as service charges. And look, I understand what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, just avoid spending money you lack. And theoretically, yes, you are correct. But psychology exercises a massive influence here that we cannot disregard. There is a phenomenon called scarcity mindset. Research has demonstrated that when you are legitimately anxious about money, when you don't know how you're going to cover rent next week, your functional IQ actually decreases by approximately 13 points. That is the equivalent of losing a night of sleep. Your mind is so preoccupied with immediate survival that you physically forfeit the ability to make long-term strategic choices. This is why when individuals are broke, they often make choices that appear foolish to observers. They accept the payday loan with 400% interest, they purchase the lottery ticket, they consume the fast food instead of preparing meals. It's not because they're unintelligent, it's because their cognitive bandwidth is exhausted just attempting to survive the day. The Boots theory isn't merely about the math of money, it's about the math of mental capacity. The wealthy individual doesn't just conserve $50 on boots, he conserves the mental energy of not needing to worry about his feet getting soaked for 10 years. He can utilize that brain power to invest, to acquire a new skill, to launch a business. The struggling individual is trapped in a cycle of constant low-level anxiety. Let's examine deeper into the buy nice or buy twice phenomenon with something larger than boots: vehicles. In the United States, unless you reside in barely 3 cities, you require a vehicle to work. A wealthy person purchases a 3-year-old Toyota or Honda. It costs perhaps $20,000. They pay cash or obtain a low-interest loan at maybe 4 or 5%. That vehicle runs for 10 years with just oil changes. The total cost of ownership is minimal. Now examine the person with damaged credit and no savings. They require a vehicle to reach the job to earn the money. They visit a buy here, pay here lot. The predatory dealership sells them a high-mileage wreck that is worth perhaps $4,000, but they sell it for $8,000. Then, because they have damaged credit, the interest rate is 24%. If you calculate the math over the lifespan of that loan, they might pay $15,000 for a vehicle that was worth $4,000. And here's the kicker: the vehicle will likely malfunction before the loan is satisfied, so they are still making payments on a deceased vehicle while attempting to finance a new one. This is the poverty trap in high definition. You aren't merely paying for the vehicle, you're paying a risk premium because society has deemed you risky, and the sole method to stop being risky is to possess money, which you can't accumulate because you're paying the risk premium. It is a cycle engineered to keep you precisely where you are. And we haven't even addressed housing. Renting versus owning is the ultimate Boots theory illustration. When you rent, you are paying 100% interest. You obtain zero equity. You're paying your landlord's mortgage plus a profit margin. But to purchase a house, you require a down payment, $10,000, maybe $20,000. If you are paying 50% of your income in rent because rent prices are astronomical, you can never accumulate that down payment. You're trapped paying $2,000 a monthly in rent for an apartment that would cost you $1,200 monthly if you owned it. The wealthy person purchases the house, reduces their monthly overhead, and acquires an asset that appreciates in value. The struggling person pays more monthly for an asset they will never possess. It's costly to be poor because you are renting your entire existence. You are renting your shelter, you are renting your money through credit card interest, you are renting your stability. So this is where it becomes really fascinating and honestly a little frightening. There is a concealed tax on your time as well. Consider the laundromat. If you possess a washer and dryer in your residence, doing laundry requires 5 minutes of active effort. You toss it in, you walk away. If you must visit a laundromat, it costs you $5 in quarters, but it also costs you 2 hours of your existence. You must travel there, wait, and travel back. That is 2 hours you cannot allocate working, resting, or being with your family. If you value your time at even minimum wage, the expense of that laundry is astronomical. Or consider food deserts. If you reside in a low-income area, you might not have a major grocery store with reasonable prices nearby. You have a convenience store with inflated prices. To reach the actual store, you might need to take a bus and pay fare, plus an hour of travel time. The friction of daily existence is elevated when you lack money. Everything is more difficult. Everything requires longer. And time, as we understand, is money. By stealing your time, poverty steals your future earning capacity. Now I can anticipate the objections already. You're informing me the system is rigged and I'm doomed because I can't manage the nice boots. And look, I understand. It is depressing, but comprehending the math is the only method to break the equation. Most individuals ignore this because it's painful, but you must examine the numbers to discover the exit. The issue is that standard financial guidance tells you to invest in the stock market to obtain an 8% return. But if you are poor, the optimal investment you can make isn't the S&P 500. It's escaping the Boots theory penalties. If you possess credit card debt at 20% interest, paying that off is a guaranteed 20% return on your money. No stock picker in the world can guarantee you that. If you purchase a reliable toaster for $50, so you don't need to replace the $10 one every year, That is a return on investment. The first step out of this trap isn't attempting to become wealthy, it's attempting to stop the hemorrhaging. This brings us to the most critical concept, the buffer. The only method to halt the cycle of purchasing the cheap boots is to artificially create a period where you don't purchase any boots at all, so you can accumulate for the quality ones. This is why the emergency fund, that first $1,000, is not merely boring guidance. It is the weapon that destroys the poverty premium. When you possess $1,000 in the bank, a flat tire is an annoyance, not a financial crisis that forces you into a payday loan. That $1,000 allows you to increase your insurance deductible, which reduces your monthly premium. See what occurred there? Having money saved actually reduced your monthly bills. That $1,000 allows you to purchase the bulk toilet paper. It allows you to repair the small leak before it becomes a floor replacement job. That first chunk of liquidity is the most challenging money you will ever accumulate, but it is also the most powerful. It switches the game from defense to offense. You must begin examining your purchases not merely as spending, but as resolving a problem permanently. When you possess a little bit of cash, the temptation is to treat yourself because you've been depriving yourself for so long. That's the psychological trap. You purchase a nice dinner or a new shirt because you want to feel normal for a moment. But if you take that cash and purchase the high-quality work boots, or the reliable tires, or the dentist appointment to repair the cavity before it becomes a root canal, you are effectively purchasing your future freedom. You are paying off the poor tax so you never need to pay it again. It requires a shift in perspective from, can I manage this monthly payment, to what is the total cost of ownership. The dealership wants you to focus on the monthly payment because that conceals the true expense. You need to focus on the lifetime value. Here is what most individuals don't realize. The system relies on your ignorance of these mechanics. Companies bank on you paying the late charges. They budget for your overdrafts. They depend on you purchasing the disposable razor blades again and again instead of the safety razor that lasts a lifetime. When you begin making choices based on the Boots Theory, you become a bad customer for them, but a great CFO for your own existence. You must become angry at the math. Use that frustration. Every time you encounter a late fee, every time you encounter a convenience charge, let that anger drive you to construct that buffer. You are fighting a war against entropy and your ammunition is liquidity. So what is the actionable step here? It's not purchase Bitcoin. It is this. Audit your existence for vampire costs caused by being broke. Examine where you are hemorrhaging money simply because you lack money. Are you paying for private mortgage insurance? Are you paying high interest on a vehicle? Are you purchasing single rolls of paper towels? Identify the biggest leak, then ruthlessly eliminate everything else. And I mean everything, until you possess the cash to plug that specific leak. If you require $500 to repair your vehicle so it stops burning oil, selling your old clothes or doing DoorDash for a weekend is not merely earning extra cash. It is a strategic strike against a future expense. You are purchasing your way out of the trap one pair of boots at a time. This journey is unfair. I won't mislead you and claim it's an even playing field. It requires 10 times as much effort to progress from $0 to $10,000 as it does from $10,000 to $100,000. The wind is in your face at the start, but once you comprehend that being poor is a mathematical penalty, you can stop blaming yourself for being bad with money and start attacking the penalties themselves. You stop playing their game and start playing yours. You purchase the boots that last. You purchase the freedom to decline the bad loan, and eventually you walk right out of the hole. If this video sparks something in you, if you realized you've been paying the poverty premium without even recognizing it, do me a favor and share this with someone who needs to hear it. We don't discuss this stuff enough. We discuss the victories, but we rarely discuss the traps. And hit that subscribe button because we are going to keep breaking down these obscure financial truths until we all possess the high-quality boots. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.